are live. Yay. Yay, we are finally live. How's everybody doing tonight? We are off and running. We've already covered all the notes on the skinny string, the E string. We've covered the notes on the B string, at least in what they call the first position. So tonight, I thought we could go ahead and cover the notes on the G string, which is the third string. So we're like halfway through all the notes in the first position pretty much. So this is going pretty good. Hopefully you guys are taking something away from this, or at least enjoying my artwork or something like that. So anyways, I said we've already been through this last week. We talked about the lines on the staff. This is, the lines are E, G, B, D, and F. So it stands for every good boy does fine. I didn't make that up. That's been like an industry standard for years. So there's no gender, whatever you want to say. That's something that somebody made up, not me. And then the spaces make up the word face going up. F-A-C-E. So whenever you see music notated on what they call sheet music or on a musical staff, if there's no markings in front of this, we're playing in the treble clef. If you don't see any markings, it lets you know that the notes are all their natural tone. There's no what they call sharps or flats or naturals. And we'll get more, I'll explain what those are in another lesson. Don't want to confuse you guys. But whenever you see just the treble clef and usually a time signature, it'll say like 4/4 look like fractions, or 3/4. That'll tell you how many notes per measure and what they get. So, for example, we are playing in 4/4, which is common time, so I didn't note it. That's what most people play in most of the time, so I didn't bother to notate it. But as you can see, this measure here, we have 4 of our quarter notes. Remember we talked about quarter notes. So you have 4 notes per measure. Each one of these notes gets 1 count. And then I did something kind of tricky over here, introducing a dotted note, which we'll get to later this evening. This still gets 4 counts. This first one here is a quarter note, so it gets 1. This is a dotted whole note, so it gets 3 counts. And don't worry. I will go over that when we get going here. And then I color-coded these of the notes that we're learning tonight, which is the A, which is found in here, and the G, which you see on the G line here. So in order to play the G, let's go through the notes that we've learned so far on the guitar. Let's go through that. So anyways, again, starting on the first string, open, we have the E, which we learned already. And then we have on the first fret of the high E, we have the F. And then on the third fret of the first string, we have the G. And this is going to be a different G than this G. This G is going to be a deeper or lower in pitch. So again, on the first string, we have E, F, G. And then going backwards, or what they call descending, you have G, F, and then E. And then on the B string, this is just a review right now. On the B string, we have B, C, D. Then going backwards, or descending, D, C, E. And again, I'm using the third finger for the third fret note, first finger for the first fret note, and open. I'm not using any fingers at all. It's just the open string ringing out. So tonight we have 2 new notes that we're learning. We're learning G on the third string, which is open. That's what it sounds like. See, it's deeper in pitch, but see, it sounds real similar to this one. And you see how they kind of have a similar, oops, excuse my microphone, how they have a similar tone to them? That's because those notes are an octave apart. An octave just simply means a collection of 8 notes. So it's an octave apart. So this G that I'm playing, this one here, you'll find it notated right here with this blue dot on this line. This higher G that I'm playing on the 3rd fret of the 1st string is notated up here. The line stopped at F, so the next thing you do, if there was more spaces, the G would sit there. And when we do notes higher up the neck, they'll show them written. What they do is a type of shorthand. When they start showing notes above and below the line, what they'll do is, this is like where it's supposed to be spaced. And then if this was an A, which we'll get to a little bit later when we get further down the neck, they would show the A drawn a little bit higher, and then they'd put a line through it, representing that if these lines were continuous, that's what it looked like. And the next note would be like above that line, and then the other one up here would be there. And usually they'll show like the lines to show what the relative spacing would be on the staff. So don't want to get into that too much tonight because that'll get kind of confusing. But if you do have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. Don't feel scared or embarrassed or anything. But anyways, let's go ahead and play the G just so we get used to what that sounds like. I feel like I'm Bob Ross or something. Let's play the G to see what the G sounds like. Have to talk calm and everything. So anyways, the G, let's do our count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the A, this note here, I'm using the 2nd finger, not trying to show you guys the bird, but I'm using the middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string to play the A. So you have that here. You got turn it right, you guys can see it better. There's a G again. Now the A. Back to the G. And you're probably saying, okay, we've learned this. This is very boring, just playing these random notes. Whoops. I wanted to learn how to play Sweet Home Alabama or something that actually sounded a little bit more musical rather than just counting notes and listening to the metronome go click, click, click. I'm not going to get out the metronome tonight unless you want me to. If you want to hear the metronome, you can put that in the link. When we start getting into different note values, we'll get out the metronome to help us count better. So like I said, we've got these things here. Let me show you this real quick here. Okay, this section here, like I said, is 4 notes per the measure. So each one of these is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we get over to this measure here, and we've got some different notes in here. So this one I said will count as 1, and this one will count for 2, 3, and 4. So maybe this might help. Get over here for a second. Okay. Now, That's supposed to be 4. Let me close it in. Sometimes I get in a hurry. I don't make my numbers as legible as I probably should. So anyways, like I said, this gets counted as 4 notes. This gets counted as 4 notes. But right here you've got 4 separate notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here you have these ones. The first one gets counted as 1. The next one gets counted as 2, 3, 4. And then the last section here, which is the new notes that we're learning, get counted as quarter notes again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will go ahead and play this through so you guys can hear what it sounds like. And lots of times when people are writing music and stuff, sometimes they get lazy or they don't have enough room. So rather than writing out the notes repeatedly, what they'll do is they'll bracket sections. So I'll draw another line right here, and they'll put 2 dots there, saying that when you get to this spot, repeat at the beginning. And sometimes they'll put up here how many times they want you to do it. So let me go ahead and erase these right here. Since we know that those each count, I've been going over that, I know. It's getting boring. Each one of these counts as 4 notes. So what they'll do is they'll show this bracket, and it'll usually be a double line with 2 dots, and it'll tell you, go back to the beginning here and play that through again. And then usually they'll tell you how many times they want you to do it. So let's go ahead and do this 3 times. That's, can you see that okay? 3x. So what we'll do is we'll practice this right here, this spot right here. We'll practice this 3 times, and then after we play it through the 3rd time, we'll go through to these notes that are over here. If you see these dots with the 2 bars and the dot, that tells you to repeat. If you just see a double bar like so, and sometimes I'll make this one real dark on the end, that's where you end. That's how you know where to end. But when you see these dots, it lets you know that that's where you need to repeat. So rather than me just talking, let's go ahead and get through this and play this part right here so you can see what exactly I'm trying to demonstrate here. So I'll play it through slow so you guys can see what I mean, and I'll play it through slow because this is where I have a feeling that we might have a little bit of trouble, but you guys are pretty sharp, so you guys are getting this. So I will go through it really slow. So I will show you right now what this sounds like. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, it's G, E, G, E, G, E, 3, 4, G, E, G, E. I'm messing myself up. I messed you guys up. Sorry about that. I'm looking over here, but I'm forgetting this note here is actually a D. So it goes G, E, G, E, D, E. So it's like this. Let me show you on the neck real quick so we can get in there. The first 4 notes is G on the 3rd fret to open E, and then G, and then open again, and then to D on the 2nd string 3rd fret, back to open E, and then again the open E gets 3 counts. So just playing this bar right here, it goes on the D goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys hear that? Okay. Sometimes people will let the notes ring out, or sometimes they'll use something called rests, which I mentioned that, but I will show you what the rests look like. If we have time tonight, we'll cover rests. If not, we will cover rests next week. So anyways, let's go ahead and play this two measures together 3 times, and then we'll see what it sounds like. So anyways, it's like this. It's G, E, G, E, D, E, 2. I messed up the count. Start over. Sorry, I'm kind of nervous. So it's G, E, G, E, D, E, 3, 4, G, E, G, E, D, 2, 3, 4. Because it's when I play it a little bit faster, it sounds better. When I play it slow, it kind of sounds kind of stupid. But anyways, it sounds like this. It's like you kind of see how it sounds a little bit more musical. That is this right here. What I'm showing you. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's like. So hopefully that makes sense. I've lost 2 people so far. So hopefully that makes sense with the counting. So then we'll play it through, and then we'll pick up this right now at the end, right here. So we go, whoops. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's. Start over. My fingers got lazy there on me. Okay. And it's okay to make mistakes. Just go back, start over. So you hear that? It's good. So I'm going to play a little bit faster so you can see what it kind of sounds like. It's like. So it sounds a little bit more musical. And playing these notes in an ascending fashion, we'll start with the G open on the 3rd string. It's G, and then to A. 1 second for it. So you got a G there. So you see how it sounds when you start learning. Whoops. When you start learning a few more notes, you can do some different things, make it sound more musical. Putting in dotted notes, like I said. Let me stop. I'm getting ahead of myself here. When you have a note that has a dot next to it. What that means is that note, when you see that dot, it gets an extra half of what its value is. And I got a new dry erase board here, a mini version, just so I can show you guys what exactly I'm trying to tell you here. Okay. Put the magnets on my phone. It's a good spot for them. Just kidding. I know better than that. So anyways, these notes here, I said, are what they call quarter notes. Okay, and oh, it's right here. Here we go. I'm trying to find where my notes are. So we talked about these notes right here. The whole note, the half note, and the quarter note. And I've been seeing people, I learned from somebody I think who might have been Canadian or something. So we'll go ahead and do the whole notes the way that I've been doing research and stuff, and I don't want to confuse you guys too much. You can show the whole note different ways. The most common way that I've been seeing it lately, the way I learned it, it was like a whole note but filled in. A lot of people are showing it like this. It's like an open bubble with a leg. Or if it's up here, we talked about going up and down the stairs. It'll be like open and then like that. So the bubble won't be filled in. It'll be a hollow. It'll be a hollow note. Okay. A little bit later, after you getting into whole notes, let's do this. Whole notes, half, quarter, eighth. Okay. Set up. There we go. Okay, now we're starting to get fancy here. They have other notes and stuff. Let's do this. Let's go. And okay. Okay. So they have a lot of breakdowns. Hey, Mr. D, how you doing? They have a lot of breakdowns for notes. They have the whole note, which we talked about counts as for the whole measure. You have the whole note. And again, for simplicity's sake, we are talking in 4/4 time. And this can apply to different time signatures. Right now we're talking about 4/4 time. So we said the whole note counts for the whole measure. A half note counts for half the measure. So each one of these counts for 2 beats. Whole note counts for 4. Half counts for 2. Quarter counts for, again, 1/4. So you get 4 of these. Eighth notes, it breaks down a little bit smaller. So eighth notes, there's 8 notes per measure. Then you have 16th notes, which you have 16 notes per measure. And then 32nd, and there's even 64th notes, which I didn't have enough room to write. But as you can see, it gets a little bit more complicated as it goes on. but it's just a matter of knowing how to count. So now then, with these, let me erase part of this here. Let me actually erase all of this. Start fresh. There we go. It's always good to start fresh, right? Just teaching guitar class, Mr. D. So anyways, like I said, with these quarter notes, so we'll start with this quarter note here. So if you have the quarter note, it equals 1 beat of the measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then goes on to the next measure. That's when we're, again, still dealing in 4/4. If you see a quarter note with a dot next to it, it equals 1.5 beats. That dot represents half the value of the note that it's next to. So another way you could write that would be to say it's a quarter and an eighth note. I messed that up. And the eighth notes usually have a tail that usually ties two of the notes together. So this would equal this, but you're not playing the extra note. It's counted together as one. You're holding the note for the duration of what would normally be these two notes here. Does that make sense? Kind of, yes, no? And again, that also with our whole note there, or half note rather, half note, you don't usually see dotted whole notes, but sometimes you do. Okay, that equals 2 beats. We said the whole note equals 2 beats because it's, or the half note, I'm sorry, the half note equals 2 beats of the measure in 4/4 time. A dotted half note would actually get a count of 3 beats, which equals a half note and a quarter note. Oops. So it'd be drawn like that. It actually gets that count, but you're only playing that one note and you're letting it ring for the duration. And then sometimes people get fancy. You might have a friend who plays guitar and he's really good and he's got a thing that repeats his signal when he plays a note. It echoes, or I mean it repeats. It's referred to as a delay pedal. Sometimes, and like the most famous person to do this is Edge from YouTube. He plays what they call dotted eighth notes. So we will show an eighth note with a dot. That equals, okay. So this actually equals half a beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay. So this is an eighth note. It equals half a beat. So every time the metronome clicks over, or whatever whoever's counting you off, an eighth note will count for half a beat. So they count it 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and yeah, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So like that. But what happens is some of these guys, they have delay pedals and they'll set it up with the dotted eighth note where it like repeats, and then you'll hear the notes like overlapping each other and stuff. But this is, we'll save this for another day. That's something that really needs to be more of a demonstration kind of thing. But again, like I was saying, okay. So we have these, and then there's other things that are known as. Actually, we'll do that. We'll talk about rests next week, where a rest basically means that you're not playing the note. And there's different ways that you could symbolize what a rest is, and they get kind of confusing. You have to really pay attention to see where the rest falls. And my drawing's not that good. So I will practice drawing what the rests look like next week, so you can see what it looks like. Again, this is the G right here, and it's shown on the staff like so, and it's open third string, and then we have the second fret on the third string played with your second finger. And I talked about using the same finger as fret just because it makes it a little bit easier to get to the next notes. And when you're playing, you kind of want to have an idea of where your fingers are going next so they don't get all jumbled up, because that's always bad when that happens. It's never a good thing when your fingers get all jumbled up, let me tell you. Because sometimes if you're not paying attention, I can't even do it. My fingers aren't that limber anymore. Yeah, I can't do it. And I say sometimes your fingers get all knotted up, but I can't even get my fingers over my other ones anymore. So they'll be all bunched up, and you'll be all, oh, what do I do? Then you have to stop and untie them. It's a big old mess, and nobody has time for that. Nobody has time for that. Well, like I said, go ahead and practice this. And these are the notes that we've already learned. That's why I didn't color code them. If you want to see what they look like color coded, go to the playlist where it says Guitar Basics from last week, and you'll see we did both the notes on the E string and the notes on the B string. These are the notes on the G string right now. So you can kind of see where they all fit together on the staff and the spaces and everything. And I think, where's my guitar? Let's do something different here. Let's pretend, since we've been talking about them, that these are actually eighth notes. And we'll tie those little legs together. And then we will change these two so we've got these two, and then we'll make the D quarter note. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3. And then we'll do what they call a tie. And it's not like you're racing your friend and you guys finish at the same time. But this is what they do a lot when they want to show the value. Rather than showing a whole note, because we don't have room to write, because we've already used up 1, 2, 3 beats for the measure. But we want to show that E counting for 3 beats like we did before. So what we'll do is we will show this as putting in the wrong spot. It's not the D. Come on. It's not the D note we're wanting here. It's the E note. So we'll show the E as a quarter, and then we'll show the E over here as that. And then what they'll do, let me erase this. This is just showing that we're repeating that 3 times. Get rid of that. what they'll do, and you'll see this if you see any sheet music. Hello, Kenneth. You'll see that they actually will show a curved line going to them, and that's called a tie. And what that does is it ties those notes together. So this note here is ringing out, and it's carrying over here. So then when you get over to here, you just have to worry about the other notes in the measure. Right now we've got two notes, or two beats rather, that are already spoken for by this note here. So what we'll do is we'll go. What we're going to on that? Go to. Yeah, we'll go to. We'll just do. We'll do a G. It'll do a whole note G, which is actually above the line. Not on the line, but above the line. It's been a while since I've notated stuff. So that is above the line there. You guys can see that okay. So this will count. Let me get my cap real quick. So we write with a different color pen so you can see what I'm talking about here. All right, let's do green. Okay. So this right here will be 1 and 2 and 3, 4. And this is both 1 and 2. Can you guys see that okay? Hopefully. Maybe it'd be easier to read in black. I'm thinking it's going to be easier to read in black. Wanted to put it in color so it'd stand out a little bit. It looks good where I am, but going through the camera, it's not really showing it as well as I would hope it would have. Let me use this. This color is a little bit darker. It's not quite black, so let's see what this looks like here. Pick up my headphones off the floor. Bumped those earlier. So anyways, this is 1. Yeah, that's a lot easier to see, isn't it? Okay. So when you count these off with these eighth notes now, it's 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, these are still quarter notes. So these, the ones that are on the and, they fall between the count. Let me show you. Let me show you something. Show you. So anyways, like I said before, oh, do I put it in? I gotta put it there. Okay, so anyways, I said our count was like this. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4. So instead of playing this like 1, 2, it's like 1 and 2 and 3. Do it again. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, and then you hold the note for the tie. So it goes 4, 1, 2, 3. Whoops. 1, 2. It'd be easier if I had a strap on this guitar. So you have these notes. It's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You can do that if it helps. You can count the and, but just know that you're not playing anything there. So let's just go ahead and focus on this first measure right here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And again, 1. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Guys, kind of getting that? Getting the hang of it? And then again, the tie, you're playing the, it's like, because you have that tie coming in here, then you're going. So it counts as 2, so it's like 1. So this is actually is the same note being held over, so it gets like 3 counts. You're getting the 4 from this measure here, and then the first 2 on this one. So it's like 1, 2, 3, and then it's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, counting with this note, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you start getting into these eighth notes and the ties, it becomes more musical, but at the same time, it gets a little bit tougher to count out. So that's why I was just doing strictly quarter notes, because they're a little bit easier. But if you have any questions, feel free to make comments. Even if you're watching this later, put some questions in the chat or in the comments below, and I will answer those questions for you. Move the tie. Hopefully people are getting encouraged to want to play the guitar. It's fun. It's relaxing. It's enjoyable. If all this reading music bothers you, just learn where the notes are, and that's fine. I'm trying to cover all the bases for whoever wants to learn. If they want to learn how to properly count, or if they just want to play by ear and they need to know where the notes are, that's why they have these block diagrams, because these represent the strings on the guitar: your low E, your A, your D, your G, your B, and your E. So it counts when you count. When I keep talking about the first string, I'm talking about the thinnest string. No, it's your number 1 string. And then as it gets thicker, your lowest string on a 6-string guitar is your low E. And they kind of repeat again and again and again. Move this bar out of here. Need to do something a little bit more permanent, because every time I start erasing some of these lines, I end up erasing part of erasing the notes, and I erase part of the staff at the same time. And it keeps me in practice of having to redraw it again and again and again. And we'll erase this here. So then again, go over the notes real quick here for you. You have on here, you have the 3rd string open, which is the G note. And then you have the 2nd fret on the same string, which gives you your A sound. So you have G, and then A. And then ascending, G, A, then we go to the next string, the 2nd string, B, C, D, and then it's now on to the 1st string, E, F, G. So we got, oops. And that is a scale, playing those notes in sequence like that from G to G. I keep hitting the D, sorry. That's a scale. Almost sounds like dueling banjos, huh? But that is the notes. And let's see. Again, after we learn the notes, going all the way across in the first position, then we'll start talking about some of these notes that are in between that I haven't talked about, the sharp and flats, and how they fit together for scales to build chords, and what we're stacking knowledge. We're learning a little bit, and we're stacking a little bit, and then we go from there. And that's how we put stuff together. You don't just simply just get going and start playing unless you're a prodigy, but you learn how to take steps, kind of like a baby. They learn how they can kind of roll side to side, and they start rolling. Then they learn they can kind of get up and balance themselves on their legs, and then they are on their hands and knees. And then they can rock back and forth, and then they can start to crawl, and then they start to crawl. Then they can walk hanging on to stuff, and then after that they learn to walk without help, and then after that they're running everywhere. So hopefully this will give you what you need to begin your crawling. That is my hope, that you guys will take that away from this and be able to start, putting some notes together and making some musical sounds. And you can play those notes that we've gone over so far in different orders and see what they sound like. And as you're playing those notes on the strings, you might accidentally learn how to play a song that you heard on the radio. You go, oh, that's how they do it. So sometimes people get like really amazed when they see somebody playing something. They go, I could never do this in a million years. But once you start seeing the tools and see how they put the different notes together, it's like, oh, the light goes on and you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. I get it. It's all starting to make sense. Hopefully this is making sense to you guys. I had some terrible guitar teachers in the past that they wouldn't teach me anything. They'd teach me how to tune my guitar, and that was about it. And then they'd play something for me, and all right, there you go. They got paid to show me how to do something. So I didn't take very many lessons. I taught myself. And if you decide to do that, if this isn't working for you, no hard feelings. If this is working for you, great. If not, I understand. People learn in different ways. Some people learn just by hearing things. They learn stuff by ear. They memorize stuff just by hearing it. That's how their brain works. They're auditory learners. Some people are more visual learners. Some people are what they call kinetic, where you actually have to be doing things to learn. So hopefully you can use all those things. You're hearing the stuff and you're taking in visually. And if you have a guitar, whether it's one you own or you've borrowed from somebody, you're putting your fingers on the strings and you're seeing how the strings vibrate underneath your fingers. You're hearing how the wood of the guitar vibrates. And hopefully this has been beneficial. Thanks for everybody who comes by, pops in the chat, says hi. It's very encouraging. And, hopefully as time progresses, we'll get into some more technical stuff, and hopefully that'll get some more people excited about this. So go ahead and share this stream with your friends, and it's totally free. Doesn't cost them anything. I'm just doing this, just taking some time that normally be just kind of hanging out, surfing the internet to try to help people learn how to play the guitar. Because there's a lot of people that say, I've always wanted to learn how to play guitar, but I have no idea where to begin. That's why I'm breaking it down like this, making it really easy. I think it's pretty easy to understand. It just takes a while to, it's like anything new. The more you do it, the more you begin to understand how everything works together. You start to see how the little individual pieces all fit together to make up the whole. And it's like, after that, it's like, oh, okay, I get it now. You might be playing something and you're like, wow, what's that note again? Because once you learn where the notes are on here, you can play them in different areas of the guitar. You're not just locked into here. I'm only doing this right now just because I don't want to confuse anybody. But like this G note that is the same as the open string here is the same as the 15th fret on the 6th string. Just has it's the same exact note. It just sounds slightly different by where it's being played on the neck. Then you have the same note here on the 10th fret of the A string. Or on the 5th fret of the G string, or the D string rather. So you can play these notes different places on the guitar. And again, like I shared last time, these double dots right here, that's the same as the nut. So rather than playing the string open, you'd play the string on the 12th fret, and it's just an octave higher, but it's still a G. And this G here is the same as this one here. So that thing that I had written out earlier, you could play that way up here, high up on the neck. So see, you can use the stuff that you learn and move it to different spots on the neck. So hopefully this will encourage you guys. So again, thank you for coming by, even if you only came by for a few minutes. I appreciate that. And like I said, after we get through some of this stuff, we'll start putting chords together. And when we start getting to the lower end, I can start showing you where the notes are on the bass guitar. And I'll probably have to move my camera back a little bit and have another dry erase board so I can show where the notes are written in the bass clef, if anybody really cares about the bass clef or not. Most people just go to the treble clef and they just know, okay, if I'm playing a bass, everything's an octave lower. But I just think they'll think of playing the notes as if they were playing a guitar, but just know that it's going to sound an octave lower when they're playing the bass, if that makes any sense. Again, I will show you guys, we'll cover notes on the D string for next time, and we will cover rest notes quarter notes, quarter note rest, half note rest, whole note rest, and we'll show how those, using those rests is just simply when you're resting, you're not playing, nothing's sounding. So it's just a moment of silence. So you play a note and you'll see there's a rest. So I'm not supposed to play there, and then I continue on. Let me see if I can find a quick example of what that looks like for you guys. Yeah, this book actually has tablature in it. And what they do, tablature is just a bunch of numbers showing you what string to hit. You guys can't really see it too well. Can you? No. Anyways, we'll cover rests, and I'll notate them clearly so you can see what exactly I'm talking about. And I'll try to have something a little bit more clear as an example for you guys to see what that would look like. Try to use it more in an actual example of a song. It's kind of hard to play things on YouTube without getting a copyright strike, but fortunately, when I play it, I don't have to worry about that because I'll be playing it slow enough where it won't really be recognizable. But then when you play it a little bit faster, you go, "Oh, that's what that is." Okay, so hopefully, hopefully that'll all begin to click and make sense for everybody. And like I said, that's all we're doing. The G is played just open on the third string. The D, or the A rather, is played here. And that's, yeah, that's it. That is it for tonight. So, any questions? No questions? Yes, no, maybe? All right, play this a little bit. But once you start learning all your notes and where they are in the open position, you can start playing chords. Like the G note, when you play those two G's together, you can do little stuff like this. You can play the D note on the second fret, or I'm sorry, the D note on the third fret of the second string, the G on the third fret of the first string. I'm using my middle finger to play the D note, my middle finger, or my ring finger to play the G here, and then I'm playing the open G. So those three notes making a chord sound like this. And then some people actually pick the notes and let them ring. And then you can play the C chord, stressing the C note, which is the first fret with my index finger. So I'm playing the G open, the C on the second string, and then the open E. And then you can play an A chord using that A on the second fret. of the 3rd fret with the open. Anyways. I'll show you some more stuff. When we get that D in there, we'll be able to form better chords using just those 4 strings that we've learned. So hopefully this has been educational and fun for you guys. I know I've had fun. Still have my allergies going on. So anyways, I will go ahead and stop right here. Again, thank you for coming by. Have a great night. I will see you Wednesday for just a regular Hangout live stream. And then next Monday, back to this. All right. Have a great night, everybody. I will see you later. Bye-bye.